I'm Dominique DiPrima. As I'm approaching the microphone, I'm asking for blessings for all of us from God Almighty, the ancestors, the righteous elders, and Southern California's early morning communications drum is now wide open. Call me now, call me every day, call me all the time. I love talking with you. I like to start my days with just a thank you. So thank you for being here, giving thanks to God, of course. Thank you, Stevie Wonder, for giving us this spot. We so appreciate you. Giving thanks to our families, our neighbors, our friends, especially during this time. Gratitude is even more important than ever. So starting out with just that attitude of gratitude. Good morning, beloved family. Okay, speakerphone, can barely hear you.
I'm not on speakerphone.
Okay, well, I'm not going to talk bad about your phone, but go ahead.
I'll speak loud. I just have one question. I wanted to know, say like you paid the taxes, you did the taxes, but you owe money. They took the money. Do you still qualify for the...
Yeah, it's a great question, Tim. Will the IRS snatch up that $1,200 of stimulus money if you owe the IRS money?
Well, Dominique, that's the $1 million question, because I have not seen anything that says the IRS will or will not do that. For the people who owe taxes, I'm assuming, knowing the IRS as I do and been working with them for years, I believe they will take that money. We're talking about the IRS. But again, I have not seen it. It's not written anywhere.
Yeah, so I guess you just have to take your chances. There's really nothing you can do about it anyway, because, you'd either have to run and pay up all that money or, that's pretty much it. The IRS has your social, so everything is going around your social security number. We're talking with Marie Deary. We're talking money. A lot of people have money on their minds because of the stimulus package. If you have questions about how it will affect you, how you can get in on it, or you're thinking about your taxes, which we're going to talk more about that when we get back on the other side of this break. What does this extension mean? We've talked about forbearance in these loans. Is this just another form of forbearance from the IRS? We'll find that out from Marie Deary of Wealth Management Incorporated, and we'd love to hear from you. 520-5554. We're broadcasting live from the KJLH 1-800-THE-LAW 2 studio. Let's hit this 24-hour news cycle. June. I don't know where she got that, because what I read is July 15th, right? That we now have till July 15th.
July 15th. Now, if you're an expat, it's June 15th.
Oh, an expatriate. I got you. So maybe that's what she's thinking. And maybe she's out of the country. But what does this mean? If I wait, they're going to give me until July 15th to file.
Right.
That means I won't get penalties and I won't get interest, because the IRS is, if they give you an extension or they put you on a payment plan, they are going to make you pay for that.
Yes, and that is very clear, is that penalties and interest, if you're behind in your taxes, penalties and interest will continue.
So they will continue on what you owed from the past, but you won't be penalized for what you haven't filed.
That's correct.
Like if I'm going to owe money for 2019 and I haven't filed yet, I won't be penalized for that until after July 15th. So there's other than if you would have a more advantageous deal from filing your 2019 taxes, there's not an advantage to filing earlier, right?
Well, the advantage that you have is that if you are going to get a refund. Now, the IRS been warning you, if you are going to get a refund, file your taxes. Go ahead and file them as quickly as you can, because you are getting a refund, and, we don't know what's in the future. But there's no penalties if you file by July 15th. And everything that we're talking about is really the breaks that you're getting or the postponement that you are getting is through July 15th.
Now, if you're someone like me that's already filed, does that mean that I don't have to start paying what I owe until July 15th?
That's correct, and so the IRS would not send the people after you if you do not pay. They give you they give you until the 15th. Let's say if you are in an offer in compromise, they would not reject your offer in compromise because of some technicalities. Everything is put on hold until the 15th, July 15th.
I gotcha. So in some ways, that is a bit of a break for people, even if they have filed or if they haven't filed yet, because they get that extra time. But whatever you owe, you're still going to owe it July 15th, but at least you won't have accrued those penalties and you won't be behind.
That's correct. And let's say for people who are on a payment plan, so the IRS is not going to throw you off the payment plan because they did not receive a payment in April or May. You're still going to be on the payment plan, and your installment payment will still be intact come July 15th.
Now, speaking of coming after you, what about the gangsters, as we call them, the state franchise tax board, because they don't play. They will take your firstborn.
Right. So the state, those gangsters, we have not heard much from the FTB. So we're assuming that the FTB will follow the IRS, but that's only an assumption because we have not heard them, put in whatever you owe on hold. So we just have to assume that they're gonna be following the IRS.
So we hope, but we don't know for sure. Okay, let's go to Carol from Los Angeles. Hi, Carol. You're on with Marie Deary.
Good morning, Dominique and Miss Deary. During this coronavirus, I just noticed what you guys were saying earlier. Seems like I am spending more money because, the kids are home all day and you have to buy more groceries because they're not in school. But I'm a healthcare worker. I am a nurse. I commute. And what they're not saying on TV is that a lot of our families, like I stay with my family because I commute long. So when I go to my job and I stay with family because the commute is so long, then I go home the next day. What they're not saying on TV is that a lot of our families are starting to not want us to, healthcare workers to stay with them because, and I know a lot of doctors, they're not going home either because they're either going to hotels, they can't go home, their family.
Yeah, I heard about one guy who's living in the garage. Right. And Carol, let me also say thank you to you for continuing your work because you guys are heroes. Yes. You really are heroes.
And thank you so much. And I heard yesterday from my daughter that some families didn't want to spend time with my daughter because I'm a nurse. So
they're afraid they'll get sick.
A backlash, yes.
That's crazy.
And I'm trying to figure out where am I going to stay. I might have to do hotels or something. I don't even know if I can afford that. So with all this spending, are we going to be able to write all this off, next tax time? I'm wondering.
That's a good question. With the additional spending, would you be able to write it off in your 2020 taxes? Well, I say, write it off, and if the IRS don't like it, they're gonna reject it. But you want to throw everything in there, so keep track of your spending, and we'll see what happened in 2020.
I also think that Carol's got a great point that should be addressed with some of these lawmakers. Like, what are we doing to support healthcare workers? I saw President Obama applauding this one doctor for living in his garage because he didn't want to risk infecting his own family. But not everybody has a garage, or Carol, in her case, the garage is, hundreds of miles away from the job. So staying in the garage won't help. So what can be done to support healthcare workers? It's like we want to lean on all of these healthcare workers and low-wage workers and not offer them anything extra above and beyond what other people are getting, and that's not fair.
Yeah, that is something, Dominique, that we need to address with the lawmakers because, like you said, that's a very interesting point. Something that we have not considered is that for our healthcare workers and that's on the front line and they have families, what are we doing to make sure that their families and the healthcare worker themselves continue to be in good health? And I think that's very, very important.
Carol, I'll and actually anyone who typically calls into the front page Monday through Friday, I will make an exception. On Saturday, we're having a special of the edition of the front page from 8 to 10 a.m. right here, and we will have quite a few lawmakers there. So, Carol, maybe you want to call back on Saturday, and others who call on a regular basis, and I always have a only call once a week rule. We have that for the front page, but we'll make an exception for Saturday because we're going to have a lot of lawmakers who can answer some of these questions and maybe haven't even considered some of the challenges that you guys are facing, and maybe by having the conversation we will help them to help us a little better. All right, let's go to Michael calling us from Inglewood. Good morning, Michael. Michael, you with me?
Yes.
You're on the radio now.
Okay.
So you have to talk. Yes. Good morning. Are you listening to the radio? Because that will confuse you. We have a delay. So you're going to hear what happened, 20 seconds ago. So you got to turn down your radio and just talk into the phone.
That's a done deal.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay. No, the radio's done. That's turned down. I just want to say blessings to all the frontline workers, nurses, and yourselves there to give information. I'm very proud of KJLH for all the communication they give out there with people. I'm also on a different tangent here, just real quick, and that is I received some information 2 weeks ago before it really exploded from Southern California Edison, where they're going to have various meetings across the country and or during their area to inform people that they're going to raise the rates. So with the pandemic, they couldn't have those meetings. So will they automatically just go ahead and raise the rates because this what they want to do is to fix all the from the fires and stuff, be more safe conscious. But they knew about this stuff 20, 30 years ago. Why didn't they do something then?
When you say about the stuff, you're talking about the poor infrastructure that these power companies have, which is causing the wildfires, which is absolutely true. And they've been profiting off of our payments for years. So why didn't they invest in their business now? Why do we have to pay for it? All great questions, Rick. I don't know. My feeling, Michael, my feeling is that they won't do it right now because this, the power companies, well, at least the DWP, I don't know about Edison, have agreed to do no power shutoffs right now because of coronavirus, right? So it just says we have a moratorium on evictions. Landlords cannot evict you right now. And the power companies have agreed not to shut off people's power. Same with the gas company. So I wouldn't think that they would raise your rate right now. I don't know that for sure, but I doubt they would with the pressure they're receiving from lawmakers not to cut people off. I do think, though, the minute this crisis is over, they probably will slide that through. So many things are going through. The Supreme Court just made it 1,000,000 times harder to sue for discrimination. And this is kind of going under the radar right now because we're all worried about coronavirus. There's a lot of other stories that are kind of going under the radar. So they probably will try to slide it in, but I doubt they'll do it right now. Marie, did you want to comment further on that?
I did not hear the question. I could not hear.
Oh, okay. His power company, they were supposed to have a meeting to talk about raising the rates because of the wildfires. They canceled the meeting because of social distancing, and he wanted to know if they're going to go ahead and raise that rate anyway.
Well, no, they're not going to do it, but after July 15th, they will, and, because it's about money. They will.
Yeah, of course, if they can get away with it. Rick from Inglewood, good morning. I need the short version.
Hi, darling. Love you.
Please, love you more, but I need you off the speakerphone because it sounds terrible. Or if you're in the bathroom, come on out to the kitchen.
Thank you. Okay, I've got a couple of stay woke questions for you. At the census. Now, we're threatened by law to revolve our personal information, but what connection does that have to do with this money that we have coming? There's no mention of that. Maxine Waters' $2,000 bump up. There's no mention of any of these things throughout this whole crisis. So I'm just wondering where we would.
That's a rumor. That's a connection. Rick, that's a rumor. There is no connection. You need to do the census because it gives us representation in Congress, and because future allocations of federal money for things like schools, housing programs, road repair, all of that is based on the census. If they think you have less people, they give you less money. That's why it's important to fill out your census, and you can do it online. You don't have to do it. People are disinfecting their mail in the microwave and all kinds of crazy stuff, which doesn't work, by the way. You're better off leaving it out in the sun all day, which will disinfect it, those UV rays. But anyway, no, there's no connection.
Thank you, Dominique.
There's no connection between the census and the money. That's a made-up thing. Maxine Waters said she was trying to get $2,000 for people. It sounds like it did not happen, although if you have two adults in your house, you'll get $1,200 each, right, Marie?
Yes, you get $2,400 and $500 apiece for each child.
Yeah, so, I mean, what Congresswoman Waters was talking about is what she was fighting for in that bill. And I'm sure it ended up increasing what we got in the end by her fighting for $2,000 a month, which is the same thing Ilhan Omar and other black members of Congress were talking about. Also people who come from cities that know you ain't gonna, $1,000 is only going to take you so far. So what we ended up at the end may not have been exactly what she was hoping for, but certainly she fought for us, and that's important. 5:46 in the morning. We're taking your calls all the way up until 6 when Steve Harvey gets on the microphone. Marie Deary of Wealth Management Incorporated is with us. It's wealthmanagementlb.com. That's still your website, right? Marie?
Yes,
okay.
That's my website.
Wealthmanagementlb.com if you want more information.
Yes, but they can always go to our website or just call me, 562-427-8877. They can just call me with any question, especially question on their mortgage and, should they get a modification? Should they go for the forbearance?
Okay. We could go into that when we get back from the break. Just wanted to make sure they knew where to get you. 562-427-8877. We're talking with Marie Deary and you, Radio Free 102.3 KJLH.